Yeah, I've been bad. Things like employees.
No, I'm good,
And so, say, one do something
If I give you a time and I lie, I feel like I'm a liar.
I called her to check in, and she was in the game, which was hilarious.
Good to see you.
It's hard to see. Well,
Evening, welcome to the Central Fort City Council today, Monday, November 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Deciding on the agenda,
Next item on the agenda is roll call. Councilperson Baena.
Present.
Councilperson Kazarian. Present. Councilperson Figueroa. Present. Councilperson Rivas Lugo.
present.
Councilperson Rosado Martinez. Absent. Councilperson Solano. Absent. And Council President Ferry. Absent. Councilperson Rivas, we have quorum.
Thank you.
I'd like to acknowledge that Councilperson Solano has arrived at 6:01.
Welcome, Councilman. Deciding on the agenda,
Council President will lead the acknowledgements.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda is approval of records, meeting minutes, of October 15, 2025, City Council meeting.
Everyone review the meeting? Perfect. Any question? Any comment? All right. Yeah, we're gonna review the meeting. Everything is good. I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Councilman Kazarian made a motion. Rafael Figueroa second. All in favor say aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Sorry, 5-0.
Deciding the agenda, Mr. Clerk.
The next item on the agenda is executive communications. Under A is recommended appointments of current CFHS student to the school board by Mayor Maria Rivera with the term to expire December 31st, 2028. Ms. Crystal de Jesus Lara.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, I will go ahead and move the item number 8 to item 5. I need a motion to move this item to the agenda.
I'll make the motion to move the item to the first.
Councilwoman Marino made the motion, Councilman Figueroa second. All in favor say aye.
Aye. The next item on the agenda is item 8. Hearing and or consideration of claims, Mr. Rolando Sapira, 106, 108 Tremont Street. Is he here? He has a claim against the city for a well-being check that damaged 3 doors. The claim cost is $1,500 to $2,000. I don't see him here.
Considering he's not here and the amount of the claim could be on the table of this for next meeting, I would make a motion to do that.
All in favor say aye.
Motion passes. The next item under number 8 is Romel Exama, 20 De Soto Street, apartment 2, Providence. He has a pothole claim for $500. Ms. Exama? Doesn't appear he's here either.
She's not here either?
I think we make the motion to move the items up under the understanding that they might have been here, so apologies for that.
Absolutely, if the person is not here, we
Yeah.
can make a motion to move this to the next meeting.
Yeah, so my motion would be to table this one as well.
Anyone second?
Second.
Okay, Councilman Figueroa second. All in favor say aye.
Next item on the agenda is public comment. We have Mr. Jonathan Acosta, who will be speaking.
Do we have a time? All right, sorry for you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you guys for having me, I appreciate it. The impetus for my visit today was actually going to be to speak on one of the ordinances that you have before you, but I figured I'd take the opportunity to give you a quick update on some of the work that I've been doing in the General Assembly, answer any questions that you may have, and talk a little bit about my plan for the next session. Also, failed to introduce myself, sorry. So Jonathan Acosta, 100 Illinois Street, Central Falls, and State Senator District 16, all of Central Falls, a small part of Kentucky. So last session, we tried to do some good work. We did some good work. There are things still pending, which I'll talk about in a second. But I want to highlight some bills that I think directly impact the community in Central Falls. The first is Senate Bill 70 that I co-sponsored with Rep. Giraldo. It was really about pay transparency. And so the impetus for that particular bill was that somebody mentioned a wage worker, an hourly wage worker, mentioned Rep. Giraldo that they had essentially been the victim of wage theft. And they weren't receiving a clear delineation of what money was being taken out of their paycheck every other week. And so we put forth this bill that now adds some transparency to that. We also had Senate Bill 74, which seems like a small level bill. It was a Blackstone Valley Tourism Council license plate bill. So in the next few months, you might start seeing these Blackstone Valley Tourism Council plates crop up. For those of you interested, please visit the DMV website. The significance of that bill is that we don't have any dedicated source of revenue to clean up the Blackstone Valley River. The last time a significant cleanup was undertaken, there were hundreds of tires removed from that river. We know that we need funds to do that. And so the revenue generated by this license plate will be used for efforts to continue to clean up the Blackstone Valley River. Senate Bill 674 was one supported by this council, which secured $15 million for school construction and improvement. I'm well aware that cost overruns mean that we might have to go back and look for some more, but everybody can see the significance of school buildings. It took this state decades in order to start taking it seriously, and this particular community has done a phenomenal job securing funds and upgrading the facilities, and so we're very proud of that. Senate Bill 675 was one also put forth by this council that allowed you to split the classification of multi-use buildings so that you can tax the commercial side of that building for commercial purposes and the residential side of that building for residential purposes, which I think is fair and equitable. And finally, and this one is the one that is somewhat related to the work you're doing today, is Senate Bill 1156, which created the Joint Commission on Local Governance. And so we are late on meeting. I will tell you, speaking for myself, I'm frustrated at that delay in meeting, but we know that we have a path forward for returning local control to the city of Central Falls. The sticking point, of course, has been the finances, and so this commission should be meeting in the next few weeks. We have all but one member determined, decided, and we will start meeting and hopefully be able to chart a path forward. Some of the pending bills that we weren't quite able to get were a constitutional amendment for a more robust right to education in our state. There have been 3 lawsuits against the state of Rhode Island for the adequacy of education that's delivered not just in Central Falls, but statewide. We have not been able to successfully win those lawsuits because the judges have pointed to our Constitution and said that our state Constitution doesn't actually guarantee what it is that we're fighting for. And so we have time and time again in the Senate proposed that the voters of Rhode Island can amend the Constitution to have a more robust right to education. And it continues to die, but we'll continue to fight those efforts. I was the sponsor of that bill last year and we'll sponsor it again next year. I also had this small bill, which I think the parents and the educators in this room will empathize with, around the school calendar. So we have over 65 local education agencies in the state of Rhode Island, and they all have authority to determine their own calendars, which is kind of ridiculous. I have 2 family members that are employees of the Central Falls School District. They happen to be residents of the city of North Providence, and the calendars are different. And so because they have a son with special needs, one of them every single year has to take vacation time off at the beginning of the year, which is one of the most important parts of the school year, to build relationship with students and set a foundation for the rest of the year, because they have no one to watch their child, because school just hasn't started there. And so we put forward this bill that seemed relatively innocuous to me, that said every single school district in Rhode Island should start on the same day, and it was met with opposition, which was ridiculous to me. We also have a bill about the training school, and so during my time on the council, I have a lot of respect for the work that you guys do. I had the honor of serving as the appointee to the Juvenile Hearing Board and working on criminal justice. It is sad to say, but every year there are children that are spending time in our jails, for better terms. And so I had a bill that said that you cannot keep a kid that's 12 years or younger in the Rhode Island Training School, and we're fighting to continue that process to try to make that law. The last two bills that are very relevant for our community, the first is the Workers' Cooperative Bill. We wanted to expand the definition of the Workers' Cooperative chapter to make it easier for skilled laborers to form cooperatives and in effect be business owners themselves. And finally, what's known as the 365 bill. So in the state of Rhode Island, we have an unfortunate overlap between the maximum misdemeanor sentence, which is a year, 365 days, and federal immigration law, which says that if you've ever been convicted of a crime up to 365 days, really a year or more, then you are barred from a pathway to citizenship. We believe that this is an unfortunate overlap. We wanted to redefine a year in state law to be 364 days. We passed that bill in the Senate for the last 3 years, but it just died in the House, and it's something I'm committed to working on next year. So I'm happy to answer any questions on those, but I'll speak very briefly on the ordinance you have in front of you today, sponsored by Councilperson Baena, an ordinance related to noxious vegetation and poison ivy. To me, it really was a kind of instance of, to be cheesy, like the democratic process. I got a phone call from a constituent who was really frustrated by the fact that they had a neighbor with overgrown poison ivy going into their backyard. I expressed my empathy, but also said, there's nothing really I can do at the state level about this. This is kind of a local issue. I would cut it down if it went into my yard, and so on and so forth. And so I engaged the city, and I will say the city's been very supportive in trying to help this particular constituent address the issue. But then also, your colleague, Councilperson Baena, said I'd be happy to work on this. I've also heard of this issue, and so you have an ordinance in front of you today that adds poison ivy and this kind of vegetation to the nuisance classification in municipal law. And I encourage you to look at it, take it seriously, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that. So thank you for your time, and I sincerely appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you, Senator. I really appreciate it. Any council member have any comment, question for the Senator?
Thank you for your work on the Senate, and thanks for your partnership. We've worked on a few consistent things together, and so just really appreciate your leadership on the Senate.
Anyone else?
Thank you for being. I think I know you.
Thank you, Senator.
Next item on the agenda under executive communications is recommended appointments to the current CF High School Student School Board by Mayor Rivera with a term to expire December 31st, 2028. Looking for Ms. Crystal De Jesus Lara.
Hello, please have welcome to the Center for City Council.
Hello, so to introduce myself, my name is Crystal De Jesus, and I'm currently studying at Central Falls High School. And I would like to serve for this school board because I would like to have a direct impact on decisions that affect not just me, but also other students' education. And I would also like to present myself as a, I would also like to present myself as a student perspective on the school choices and also issues that will happen in the future or currently happening at the moment.
I have one question. What's the school board member role and responsibility for you?
So for me, a school member's responsibility is to leadership as one. Of course, we want to show the students as well as other people in the community what we want to do for students, and we also want to show what needs to be done. I would say a lot of students feel like myself, used to have a voice, and sometimes us youth want to have a voice so we can also see what's wrong in the community so we can fix that.
Perfect, thank you. I want to say thank you for be available for serve to the Center for School Board because we need working together for the best future for Center for students. All right. Any other council member have question, comment for her?
I have a comment and a question. Crystal, thank you for being here, for applying, and for going through the process. As you know, this is one of the most important decisions that we'll make as a council. You know, we're going to be choosing people who will guide our schools to local control after over 34 years. And, you know, my own child will be in school while you're serving, so this is very important to me as well. I'm looking forward to working with board members who will lead with transparency, accountability, and a deep understanding of our community. And so for you, I do have two questions actually. So one, you mentioned student voices, right? And then making sure that they are heard. So how do you plan to make sure that the student voices are heard and considered in the decisions that are usually made by adults, but you'll be a part of?
Of course, so I would say what I personally think is asking other students how to feel about certain stuff that are happening in the community as well as in the school. Because I feel like that's something that adults or like the society doesn't usually do. They think, oh, kids don't really know what's going on. They think kids don't know, like I said, what's going on or what can happen in the future because they think we're like so like focused on like, specific things like phones, going out, or like things like that. And I feel like that's not true. I feel like we should give students like me and others like the opportunity to like speak for themselves and speak for what they want.
Awesome, thank you. And you seem very confident, which I love. But serving on a board can sometimes be intimidating, so how can we as adults support you in feeling confident to make sure that you can share your perspective?
Honestly, I feel like this made me feel the way you guys interact with each other. Just like not just because I'm a child, well not a child, but like a teenager, like being left out. You know what I mean? Also for anything. As like means that I'm almost an adult as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to congratulate you because you're making the difference. And as a parent of a 10th grade in the high school, I'd like for you to give that example to other students, that they have a voice and they can be heard. And you are making that difference.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to thank you also for you in this great in your students that who know better than you.
All right. Anyone?
I have one question, just what made you decide to vote?
That's a great question. So if I'm being honest, I first didn't know anything about this before because this is something you guys haven't done in a while. And I received a text from Sarah that one of my teachers recommended me to apply. So I was like, maybe I should so I can make a difference in the school. So people can see that youth, just like me, have also votes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. We got the question coming say. I need a motion.
I would make a motion to appoint Crystal Denson-Lara to the school board.
Second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Musawati, second. All right. Roll call?
Council President Baena,
Yes.
Council President Kazarian,
Yes.
Council President Figueroa,
Yes.
Council President Rivas Lugo,
Yes.
Council President Lozano Martinez,
Yes.
Council President Solano.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next item on the agenda is recommended appointments of current parent caregiver to school board by Mayor Rivera with the term to expire December 31st, 2029. Mr. Thomas Evans.
Hello, Council.
Citizens, welcome.
A Central Falls graduate. I know many of you that sit on the seat. I'm very honored to be here speaking with you guys and able to have this opportunity once again to continue doing the work that I currently do. I'm a current school board member for the city of Central Falls. I have a deep passion for this city. I was born and raised on Hunt Street in Central Falls. Played baseball, football, soccer, you name it, my whole entire life. I also, as many of you know, I'm the president and founder of Central Falls Youth Baseball. It's been going on for 6 years. We've provided 150, I call them students, 100 players free access to baseball. We don't charge a single registration fee, we buy the uniforms. I also run another nonprofit in Pawtucket where I service one of Central Falls families in martial arts, education, and various other needs. Some families come with no clothes, no shoes for school. We do our best to provide these things for our kids. My children are deeply rooted in Central Falls. I have 3 children. I have a 3-year-old who is actively in the process. Right now, I have another meeting in December with Captain Hunt, so that she'll be attending Captain Hunt hopefully as early as January. My son Julian is a 5-year-old. He is a pre-K, was at Captain Hunt last year, is now attending Progreso Latino, and he'll be going to the Central Falls kindergarten system next year. So I'll have 2 active students in the community that I was born and raised in. I'm very fortunate to have them seek those opportunities that I did as a child growing up in the city. It presents many challenges, but also presents many victories. Right? It's very important that we understand that. I have a passion for the community. I feel it's just as mine as anyone else's, and that's why I'm here. I have the ability to ask tough questions and stand out for these families and these parents that necessarily don't know the right questions to ask or don't know where to even begin. My child Julian has an IEP. I'm not afraid or ashamed to say that in the Central Falls School District, and I pushed very hard with the help of many people to get him the services that he wasn't being provided at the time, whether it was error or not, it wasn't. And now I can confidently say he's receiving his speech therapy and the services that he needs, and we're making improvements. So the city is great. There's a lot of hope in this city. A lot of people care about this community. That's why I'm here.
Perfect. Mr. Evans, I know you've been involved in the community for many years, in the baseball team and everything, for resident. Really appreciate that. And also, I know you have experience in that, but the same question can I do to the other member. What is the school board member role and responsibility, and what you want to do different to keep working for this community?
As a current school board member, I can just say from my speaking now, sitting in the seat, transparency of the community is number one. And speaking to parents in this community on a level that they understand. Transparency is great, but if you're using laws and using language they don't get, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't serve our community. So being transparent is one thing, but being open and being able to accept and answer questions that might be challenging for parents, that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Any other colleague have question or comment?
I have a couple of questions. Thank you. We all know your nicknames. You've done a lot of great work for the youth of our city and for the community at large. I remember we used to host self-defense classes for women, and so thank you for all of that. One of the criteria that we discussed during the advisory board process that the mayor put together and I was a part of was that this role for the parent or caregiver seat be held by someone with the current student in the district so that the board could include that direct day-to-day parent perspective. I know you mentioned that the children are sort of in line to be CFSD students, so can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on that expectation and how you see yourself representing current families under that framework?
Absolutely. As I explained my own little situation with my son's IEP, when I first got it put in front of me, I'll be honest with you, I was a school board member and I still looked at it and my head turned sideways. I have a bachelor's degree, not in education, but in development and family studies. I've worked at the College Crusade for years in the schools. For 4 years, I was academic advisor, 18 to 24, and I had no idea what to do with it. I was able to reach out to the right channels, which is 90% of the battle, right? Being able to find out who can help you, because there's many people out there that can help. You have to find out the right people that can help. And I was able to sit down and have a great meeting with the superintendent and the special ed director at that time, and advocate for my child. And sometimes the school has its priorities set, but we as parents, we have to educate our parents that just because that's the school priority doesn't make it your priority. Your priority as a parent is to get the service that your child needs. That's your priority. And that's why I'm here, to educate parents on that and make them understand that it's okay to fight for your kids. Even if you're wrong, it's still okay, right? It's very important to advocate for not only my children, but the entire community, right? And so to answer your question, I live in the town of North Providence. I'm a police officer in the town of North Providence, but my children, like I said, Mel has an appointment December 2nd to be actively enrolled in CF at Captain Hunt, so I consider her a matriculated student, and Julian is attending pre-K right there at Progresso Latino, who also was at Captain Hunt last year. So I'm very heavily involved, and I'm not going anywhere. Good to stay in Central Falls.
Thank you, Tom. And lastly, you talked a lot about educating parents. Can you share or talk about your strategy to be able to engage them?
Yeah, great. I think it starts with getting parents more involved. Before I even continue on something, can we just give Crystal a round of applause? That's brave, what you just did. I just not to talk myself. I mean, I had a Central Falls student come here and speak before the town council. I wish I had the opportunity as a kid. It wasn't ever afforded to us. Everyone sitting here wasn't afforded to us. So that what you just did, you just made history. So congratulations. With that being said, well, how do we engage parents, right? Well, me being a parent myself, I think it's important that we create a parent committee. I think that's very important. I think parents need more voices on the school board. I think they need to understand the process and the procedures that actually go on and understand that there's a process. And you can't just speak up at meetings. Certain times we can't respond to the school parents. And they're told very well that Chairman Brent's in the room. He does a great job of making sure that parents know what's going on. And I learned a lot from him being on the school board. I had the honor to work with him. So I think what we're doing as a school board now is very, very important work. That's why I want to sign up to continue. But we have to find a way to get our parents educated and to hear their voices. Because many times we hear their voices during public comment and we do our best, but there's a process and procedure that sometimes stops us from answering. So we have to find a way creatively around that so we're not violating any open meeting laws or anything like that, but to actually get these parents the questions and the resources they need.
I think a parent committee is great, and part of what you're talking about in terms of educating is also the process, right? Like even this process.
Yes.
This process of coming to the city council to give public comment, to share, I don't think a lot of people know it. And so I love what you're saying in terms of that education piece that's really needed.
And it's going to take a lot of work. It's not just going to be me. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm putting this on my back. So we're going to need help from everyone.
Oh no, it's all hands on.
Educators from city council, but that's the important part of why this council is being created, the school board is being created, is now we have a first time in 30-something years where we can do that, and not have to always look over the back of our state peers and ask for permission. I think
Thank you, Tom.
Anyone
Just one question. You talked about engaging with families too, but how about engaging with teachers as well?
Great.
To see what's happening.
Great question. And it starts in the classroom, right? The teachers are with our children more than sometimes we're with our children, right? So I think that's important to know. Actually, I have two teachers and 4 district employees that work with me at Central Falls Youth Baseball. And they're always in my ear. And I tell them, see Andrew, that's all I say. I tell them, talk to me about it. But no, in all reality, I think engaging the teachers to be a part of the process is important. That's why I was very happy to see the decision to have an educator on the school board of trustees, because that's only just going to be reciprocated when they go to work, and they're going to be able to explain and educate teachers sometimes, because I don't even think some teachers even know what we do half the time. So yeah, and that's okay. Right? Teachers are very busy. They have the hardest jobs in the world. I do pre-K at home. My kid, I can't do it. So I get it. It's very challenging. It's a challenging job. But I think it's important to set up really empowers the city to grow. So engaging teachers, how would I do that? Not to just ramble on. I think it's important again, and you don't want the school board to have 15 committees because that's not going to work. But having the teachers have more of a voice. Even at their own level, even at the school level, I think it's important. So I had the honor of sitting in some of the last year's teacher evaluations, and I learned a lot from that. I think the teachers do great work in the city, and I think the school department does a great job recognizing the teachers that need help. I think that's important.
Perfect, thank you.
I like the idea, teachers anyway. I have something, because I have my son, this one, in the past. That one of the teachers said to me, I don't know why you never go to college. So I can tell you right now, is that my son I can tell you that one of the reasons he did it. So he didn't even want to attend the evaluation. So I think that we have to work very close to some of the teachers. We need to understand, because it happened in the past. Now, some of the teachers come from different part of the state. And sometimes they don't understand some of the questions that we have. And some of the students go home and sometimes probably can't help them because of the language. But they can't help them do their homework. You know what I mean? So think about that and go to school and know how to support from the teacher. So right now we got 65% of the students. So,
And again, I'm honored to be here again and have this second opportunity. I was an alternate for the first time around the school board. I didn't miss a meeting. I stuck around. I'm not going anywhere. So I'm happy to help and do what I can.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you. All question and comment, you need a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Councilor Casado made the motion. Councilor Figueroa second. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Diana,
Yes.
Councilperson Kazarian,
Yes.
Councilperson Figueroa,
yes.
Councilperson Rivas Lugo,
Yes.
Councilperson Rosado Martinez,
Yes.
Councilperson Solano.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next item on the agenda is item C, council. We have two candidates for this item. We will call them up one by one to give a presentation, and then they will sit at the table and answer any of your questions.
Okay.
Okay, so the next item is recommended appointment of alumni to the school board by Mayor Maria Rivera with the term to expire December 31st, 2029. Our first candidate is Ms. Ivana Hazard Perez.
Hi, good evening.
Hey, welcome.
First of all, thank you very much for allowing me to be here today. So my name is Ivana Hazard, as you mentioned, formerly known as Ivana Perez. I've been a proud member of this community for over 20 years now. And my family, although I don't reside here anymore, I do live in North Providence. The entire family still lives here in Central Falls, so I'm constantly here. I wanted to be a part of the school board because I want to be a voice for those that don't have one. I grew up here, I grew up in the system. I know what it's like to go to these schools. I know what it's like to not have representation, and I want to be able to represent the children of this city. I also have been a member of the military for the last 15 years, and so I want to bring leadership, discipline. I want to bring, equity to this council.
Right, perfect. Ms. Perez, I want to say thank you. I have the same question I have for the others.
Council President, keep it on the seat.
Okay.
Call the second candidate.
Perfect.
Our second candidate is Mr. Dorian Raven.
Good evening, everyone.
You're welcome.
My name is Dorian Rave. I'm proud to say that the city of Central Falls is largely responsible for the person that I've become today. I was raised in the city, I attended its schools, and for close to 2 decades, I was a public servant in the city. I was a police officer, where I eventually achieved the rank of captain. I am a parent of 3 beautiful daughters, and I am also a parent of a son with special needs. The reason I want to serve on the board is because every time I come to this community and I see the youth and I interact with them, it reminds me of myself when I was young. A mother who had just come to this country with no resources, at times seemed lost, trying to figure out how to get her children into school and how to navigate a system that at the time was not as diverse as it is now. When I see that and I see the talent and the amazing potential that our children have in this city, it's just something that I want to help them achieve their goals. I have a deep sense of responsibility and gratitude towards the city, and I want to continue to help our youth forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Now it's time. We'll start first with Ms. Ferris. Ms. Ferris, thank you again. I want to have the same question to the audience. What is one school board member role and responsibility? I know you go from here, and what your expertise can help him do it better for the school system.
So I think that the role of a member, the school board member, is to advocate for those that don't have voices, advocate for the children, realistically getting down to, sorry.
Sound check.
Yeah. No, it's just, for me, being a part of the board, which is, bringing my leadership skills, bringing in some discipline, bringing in my ideas and listening to other ideas, being able to express to the city, to the community, what we're doing, being transparent, like Mr. Evans had mentioned earlier, being able to vocalize the things that we're doing to progress in the city. So the role would just probably just being more transparent, being equitable, being able to support, being able to be that voice.
Thank you. Now the same question to Mr. Dorian. What is school board member role and responsibility, and what do you bring to do the better school district Central Park?
Well, I think the the role of the school board is to establish strategic plan and strategic goals for the board. I think there's a responsibility as far as setting policy and establishing the governance of the board, and to have oversight, where you can have transparency, and also you have to have the accountability of the school district. I also believe that one of the biggest roles is to put student learning at the top of the list, but also include the educators who need the support and the resources to provide the learning aspect to our school and to our children.
Thank you. Any other question or comment by my colleagues?
I have a few questions for both of them, so I can say it twice or you can just respond as you feel. So, as alumni and parents, including you are parents, we both carry the pride and responsibility of representing this community. What does it mean to you to serve on this first locally governed board in over 3 decades? You can go.
Well, to be honest, it's an actual honor to have that opportunity and to just be here with potential chance of serving on a board that is the first time in 34 years to be established in the city is amazing. I think that we have a big responsibility towards the community. Expectations are high, and failure is not an option. The city government has tried and has worked so hard to get our control back, local control back, that this board in particular, this brand new board, is going to probably have a lot more pressure than the established boards from other districts. I think it's going to take a huge collaboration amongst all the board members, and it's going to be also a lot of collaboration with the city leaders, with the superintendent, with the educators, and most importantly, our community, our families. They need to be involved. They need to have that transparency, especially during the transition, so that they don't lose trust in the board along the way.
Thank you. Mrs. Hazard, I'll repeat the question. As alumni and parents, you both carry the pride and responsibility of representing this community. What does it mean for you to serve on this first locally governed board in over 3 decades?
So it means a lot. For a little bit of background, my grandfather got here in the 70s, one of the first Colombians in the city. And he was able to provide the incoming Colombians with their first homes, with their first job, with their first shoes. And he was such a huge part of this community, politically, soccer, he was nosy, so he was in everything. So for me, it means making him proud, making my family proud. Not a lot of my family members are involved in the city, even though we live here. So yeah, it would definitely, like you said, bring honor, bring pride to not only myself, but to my family to be sitting on this board. 34 years is a long time. I'm only turning 35. So yeah, the last time this ever happened, I was 1. So if I could definitely be a part of the board, that would just be another notch on my belt that I would hold near and dear to my heart, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you. My next question is, how do you see your experience, because you were in the military, you were a police officer, so military service, community policing, mentorship, because you both do that in your own ways. I know, Mana, you are a coach and you have also been involved in programming. So how do you see your experience in helping to rebuild trust between schools and families? Sometimes that trust isn't there, right? And so how do you feel like your role would step in to help bridge that gap? So Rick, would you start with you?
Well, I think the experience, as far as being a police officer, public servant, I also am a veteran from the Air Force. But there's a gap, a bridge that the two fields, kind of like the gaps get bridged. As a police officer, I'm involved with the community every day. As a police officer, you see the quality of life that some of our children have, and you also see how some of those negative aspects affect them when it comes to school, education. That experience, for me, would make it a lot more easy to recognize when you're dealing with a family member that's dealing with a student that's being problematic, that's having some troubles that might, to the regular person, might just be like, they might just misconstrue that as disciplinary problems, where you could recognize it as what's going on in the house. Let's get to the root cause of the problem. Is there some sort of assistance that we can provide as the board or even the educators, where we can try to make a difference as far as the lifestyle or the environment that the child is in, and that way, once the problem is identified and you can try to figure out a solution, and we can all get together as the leaders of the school district and try to come up with a solution, a plan, a game plan at least.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
How do you see your experience in the military and otherwise helping to rebuild trust between schools and families?
So aside from my experience being in the military, growing up in the Central Coast School District, being captain of my soccer team, my softball team, it's all about communication, being transparent, being able to find a common, a common denominator, a common standpoint, and find that commonality between you and whoever else, just to be able to communicate properly. Military-wise, to bridge the gap, I was a private, I was a specialist sergeant, and at that time, I during those times, I looked and saw who I wanted to be and who I didn't want to be, and what mentorship I followed. And now as a leader, I am that mentor, but better, because I want to be able to serve them. If I can't find something, if they have a question and I don't have the answer, I go look for it. I don't make them go look for it. I'm here to help them I'm here to serve them, just like I would do for this community, and just like I've been doing. You know, serving for the military is not only serving for yourself, serving for the nation, but this school board, I'd be serving for the city, which, like I said, is near and dear to my heart, my family, and knowing that my son could come to this school, to be in this school district, your son, which obviously you and I grew up together, my nephew, I want to make sure that they see that I am putting forth this effort.
Thank you. Any other question or comment from my colleague? Go ahead.
I just gotta go back in the system, when, it's only 65% of our students, the children who are graduating from high school. Is any ideas, any training for teachers or something that you guys have?
Well, I think the first thing that needs to be done is you gotta invest in data-driven information. You gotta find out what the root causes are, why there is an issue with the graduation rates, why are they low. Identifying those problems helps us identify a solution. Definitely, training is essential for the educators. But in addition to that, you know, there are other things that we need to invest in, such as reading projects to help the children get up to the literacy level that they need, numeracy projects. Also, attendance is a huge issue when it comes to our students right now, and trying to figure out why they're not coming to school with another, and all that does come with training, because educators, the individuals that are dealing with the children on a regular day, need to know how to recognize these things and identify the problems ahead of time. I think that taking a good look at everything, what's established, coming in as a new board, seeing what educational training is in place, identifying which ones of them the educators think are working and which ones are not, and trying to update it so that we have a more modern and efficient system to train our education staff.
Same question.
Have you ever asked the children, like, hey, what are you doing outside of school? What are we doing inside your house? Do your parents speak English? What are the resources we're giving our children to bring home? We don't know what's going on in their house. We don't know if they have to leave to go work to help out. This isn't an economic, this is like more of a poverty city, as the state says. This is more of the immigrant city, like the state says. But I don't really feel like we sit down and we talk to the kids and ask them what they want to do with their lives. I don't think we sit down and we ask them what they're doing in their day-to-day. So data-driven, yes, maybe by questionnaires, maybe surveys, anonymous, tell them to be as honest as possible. The teachers, if they want to be, more involved, they can sit and ask the students. They can find some empathy, sit down with one another, maybe a day, instead of teaching, take the day to learn the student and not just go to work. Principals, everybody's got to get involved. This isn't just, kids are just going to go to school, that's their job. That's what they look at it as. They go to school, and then they go home, they play a sport. We had an alumni soccer game one night, and there was this little girl that she wanted to argue. I think she was a 10th grader. And she said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean, I'm not doing anything with my life anyways. And we, the alumni pulled her aside and tried to have a conversation with her. And there was nothing for her. There was no substance. And, it's just about being there for the students, asking them the questions, figuring out what their needs are, figuring out what we have to do in order to get them to cross that stage. So always the children. Yeah, we're parents, we're adults. Now we know what we needed. Now we have to be what they need.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other question?
So how do you balance the academic achievement of the students and also their mental health and their well-being, more or less, and outside of the school?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. So it's how do you balance the academic achievement with the students' well-being and their mental health?
Well, I think that all of those need to be addressed equally as important. We don't just focus on the students' education. We have to focus on their mental and emotional state as well. That all has to be worked out together as a community. We need to work on that so that we can focus on the whole child, not just a part of them. What and how do we do that? I think that's an excellent question. I think that's a question that's been asked for a long time, and we're still trying to figure it out. I think that this board is made up of some really good, talented people. I think that whoever the city council chooses for this board will have enough experience or at least enough creativity to address these issues and maybe collectively get creative. I think that whatever's established obviously is just status quo and doesn't work as we planned. It's time for the people coming forward to kind of start thinking outside of the box and get creative with other things to implement so that we can focus on the whole child. There's a lot of trauma and a lot of the families and even our educators and ourselves aren't trained to address some of these families that have been dealing with it. So yeah, I mean, I think that the question is excellent. I think that there's a lot of work still left to be done because I think sometimes we just focus on that one part of things and not of the whole person. Education, mental health, and physical health as well, all combined makes up the person and makes them healthy and able and willing and to participate in education and move forward.
Can you repeat the
Yeah,
question?
of course. So how do you believe, how do you balance the academic achievement of the student with also their mental health and their well-being?
Resources. Resources are important because they, they probably don't have that at home. They probably can't afford it at home. But if we somehow can, bring a therapist to the school or, and have like a child, if they're having an issue, they can step out of class and go have that conversation. Even if it's a soundboard, even if it's just a counselor. I think that having someone at the school that can sort of address these issues with students would make them feel so much better. I don't know how many times I wish I could just go into a room and scream while I was in class because I was annoyed by whoever, but I couldn't do that. And I couldn't do that at home. So now, what's that, years later, therapy, stuff like that, right? So I think that the balance would be, trying to find a resource for them, an outlet for our students.
Perfect, thank you. Any other question, any other comment?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Mine is short. How do you define success for our schools and students?
Well, success is getting our children to go through school in a positive environment, in an environment that they can enjoy and thrive in, and being able to do that consistently across the board to all our children. You could sit there and rate success as like, hey, we went up to 75% this year, and then the next year. And those are small baby steps. They are a measurement of success. At the end of the day, it's that success for statistical purposes for the government. It's not success until every single child is going through school in a safe environment, in a manner that they enjoy and thrive and move forward to either go into a career field or go into higher education, or just achieving a lifestyle that brings them a good quality of life. But at the end of the day, it's about individual success for each individual student. I think we move obviously towards academic and statistical progress, but it's focused on the individual child and focusing, making sure that they all move forward. And we focus on every single one of them as an individual and target and mold their education to them, because it's not a one-size-fits-all for every child, every one individual.
So success is different to everyone, right? Success to me is making sure that my family is all set. Not just financially, but, they're cared for, they ate, they woke up. So success to these children is very different to each and every single one of them. So it's not about equality, and it shouldn't be about equality. It's about equity. We have to figure out what success means to each of them and assist them in that area. That's how we can get these students to cross the stage. That's how we can get these students to look at success as a bigger picture. Or not just, hey, the success is I have to help my dad after school. Success would be, hey, I'm gonna get my dad a house in Central Falls or wherever he wants by going to college, by graduating high school, by making good money, by being there for my family. So I think success, in order to get the kids to be successful, we have to find out what they consider success to be and assist them and get them there.
Okay, thank you. For the comment and question, finish, I want to say thank you for your time. The city of we appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
Now I need the motion to approve one of them for the.
I'll make the motion to approve Dorian Ray as a Central Falls alumni.
Any other?
I'll second the motion.
Any other? All right. I'll second the motion. I want to roll call.
Councilperson Baena?
Yes.
Councilperson Kazarian?
Yes.
Councilperson Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilperson Rivas Lugo?
Yes.
Councilperson Rosado Martinez?
Yes.
Councilperson Solano?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0 for Mr. Dorian Ray.
Oh, I see. Again, thank you. Congratulations, Mr. President. Thank you for everything you started. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is item D, recommended appointment of former educators to the school board by Mayor Maria Rivera with the term to expire December 31st, 2029. The process will be the same as the one we just had. We have 3 candidates for this position. The first I'm calling up is Ms. Jordana Ruggiero.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Hello? So I prepared something to write because I knew once I started talking about Central Falls, I would go off on a tangent and not keep it to than a 1-minute introduction. So I want to introduce myself, and thank you for having me. My name is Jordan Ruggieri, and I had the honor and privilege of being a high school English teacher and special educator at Central Falls High School for 15 years. And those years truly changed me and shaped me as a person. The students and families at Central Falls taught me about resilience, community, and the power of believing that in every single child's potential. Our schools are filled with brilliance, passion, and possibility. And I've seen it firsthand with the students, with the teachers, and inside all of our classrooms. I understand where the gaps are and what supports are truly needed for both students and teachers to thrive. And now for the first time, we have the opportunity to build a district shaped by the voices of those who work, who live, and truly believe in this community. As a school board member, I want to be that advocate to stand up for what's truly needed, not just stand by while the politics or people without true invested interest are making decisions that can have lasting and sometimes really harmful effects on our students. The board's role is to lead with integrity and to set a clear vision and make sure every policy and resource reflects the strength of this community. I truly believe in all my heart in the potential of this city. I love this city. I love its families. I love its students, its educators, and I believe in the future of this city. And, once a warrior, always a warrior. So it would be my complete honor to be sitting on this board. Thank you.
The next candidate is Ms. Danira Vasquez.
Welcome.
Thank you. Buenas noches. My name is Danira Vasquez. If you've read my resume, you know some of this, but I'll recap a little bit. I was a teacher for 7 years in the Bronx, New York City, a place very similar to Central Falls, where I taught for 7 years dual language. When I came to Rhode Island, my first opportunity here was at Calcutt Middle School here in Central Falls. I quickly realized that although this was the tiniest state, the education system could be pretty inequitable, and it really lit a fire in me and a desire to become an equity-focused leader. Although there wasn't an opportunity for me here when I graduated as an administrator, Central Falls truly played a key role in my journey to administration. I moved on. I have served as principal in Woonsocket for 4 years. I have served as Director of Family Engagement at BVP, and I am currently the Superintendent of Nuestro Mundo, a dual language school in South Providence. This current role has given me a front row seat to what a strong board leadership truly looks like, and how it can truly impact the school community. For me, it would be an honor to come full circle back to the community that first opened its arms when I moved to the state and bring together my love for the city, for its diverse people, my bilingualism superpower, my teaching experience, my passion for family engagement, and my commitment to equity-focused leadership to ensure that all of the students from Central Falls can achieve an amazing education.
And our third candidate is Mr. Jeffrey Wright.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? I wrote something here because I can be a little long-winded. I think Ms. Parkhurst will know about that, so I'm just going to keep it brief, but I hope that you'll be able to answer those questions. Really humbled and honored to be considered alongside these amazing candidates at this point. So good evening. I'm Jeff Wright, and I currently serve as principal of Art Gregorian Elementary School in Providence, Rhode Island. Prior to working in Providence Public School District, I had the distinct honor of serving as assistant principal of Veterans Elementary School for a year. Prior to that, I had worked at Blackstone Valley Prep for 8 years. And my leadership is grounded in purpose, people, and possibility. And that's why I'm seeking the opportunity to serve on the Central Falls School Board to help build systems that honor families, strengthen schools, and expand opportunities for every child. I deeply believe in collaborative leadership, clear communication, and clear spaces where all voices are valued and matter. I would like to thank the selection committee again, Mayor Rivera and the city council members for allowing me to be a part of this historic process. I'm hopeful for the opportunity to bring my experience and commitment to the board to advance these goals. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have the same question that I have for the other members. What is the school board member role and responsibility? And what do you want to do to the Singapore School District? I know you're former educator here in the district, but I know you're no longer here anymore. Now you want to bring back everything to us.
The first part of your question, I think the most important thing for the main focus of a school board, in my opinion, would be the students. So everything student-centered and student-focused. And in order to do that, it's important that you collaborate with all the stakeholders that are involved to get those policies that reflect our student body, and I mentioned it a little with the politics. Sometimes in education, it's the one size fits all, but Central Falls does not fit that mold, and nor that it ever should, because it is so amazing. So all of the stakeholders need to be their voices, their ideas. And obviously as a school board, we are the ones that sit and discuss and implement these policies. But in order to make the policies reflective on our students, it needs to be a collaborative approach. So as that role, it would be, making sure that our policies are serving our students and not serving the politicians or anybody else. They have to serve our students, and we have to be ready to fight if they don't.
The question, what is the school board member roles and responsibility? What do you want to bring back to the Singapore School District?
Well, I know technically the role of a board member is really focused on strategic direction and oversight, right? But what does that mean for me is it's accomplished by listening. And many people have already said it, right? But it's accomplished by listening to all the stakeholders and really advocating for the Central Falls students, staff, and families. As somebody who, again, all of us, we've been educators in this city, I can tell you that one of the things that was really shocking to me when I started working at Calca Middle School was what I call the poor baby syndrome. We have amazing teachers, or you have amazing teachers in Central Falls already. We have committed families, and we have students with amazing potential. We need to hold them to high expectations. Once we do, they can truly achieve it.
The same question. What is in the school board member roles and responsibility? What do you want to bring back to the Singapore School District?
Thank you again, great question. Again, the role of the school board, how I define it is just three functions. It really is you hire the superintendent, his policy, and his finance. Looking at what we bring to the table in terms of with the school board, I just really look at it again. We all said there's collaboration, but it also is also part of that collaboration. There's something that I want to point out too is that collaboration should include, we say educators, right? And it automatically we focus that center specifically on teachers. And yes, teachers are really important. Teachers play a significant role, but also teacher assistants play a role, and custodians play a role, and school administrators play a role, right? So I think as well as our families, as well as our students, it really is truly to be a collaborative approach and have the opportunity to be in this role. And that's how I would look at it. I was looking at it as an opportunity to be able to really ensure that we're inviting, and again, not just inviting, saying, oh, once you come here, but actually inviting and recognizing the expertise and recognizing what is brought to the table, even our parents. Even in my experience that I had at vets, there were parents that were not comfortable walking through the door because the environment some felt was that their opinion may not have been valued, and we should be able to value them as experts. And even listening to some of the teachers who've been here over the years, some of them just got tired. They got tired because they're working so hard to support our kids, but also just, we're making sure that we're making an environment and making sure that they too are also valued and that, their voice matters too. Thank you.
Any other question?
I have, go ahead.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Okay, I have one. What unique perspective do you bring as an educator or administrator in this case to our board members, school members? Who wants to start?
I'll go with it.
I have a unique experience of having now being an administrator who has worked in both school districts that have been in state receivership. And so I've seen firsthand the impact of what it's like being under state control in terms of how it looks for administrators, or how it looks for, even at district level, so district administrators and school administrators and teachers and students. And it's having that unique experience, and also having the experience of having served alongside working in a charter school setting too. I think that being able to see all those pieces and to bring all of that to the table, I think that I could have really offer something that, bring this unique experience, but also not hold on to that experience, but also share the wealth, or share that, show that we're sharing that perspective and understanding about what some of the challenges are, and even some of the challenges, I think we were talking about SEL earlier. That was a great question that Mrs. Solano asked, Councilman Solano asked. I think that one of the things that's tricky too is that there's these mandates. There's these mandates that teachers are told that they have to teach X number of minutes a day. And so we may have teachers who want to invite or create space to ensure that they're making that genuine connection with their students, but they're also feeling this pressure of, we gotta hit these minutes, we have to hit these minutes. So I think it's bringing that unique perspective and finding that delicate balance to be able to support all of these things that are coming in, to ensure that we're doing what's best and what's right for the community in the long term. Thank you.
Before I speak of my perspective as an educator and administrator, I want to speak of it as a child myself, who was, yes, I was born in New York, but my first language was Spanish. So I really identify myself with many of the students here in Central Falls, and many of the families who come into a system where, like some people have said already, don't know the language or don't know how the system works. I was that child who my mom didn't necessarily feel welcome into the school because of the language barrier, which is something that Central Falls does an amazing job with. And it's not always the case, As an administrator, when I started in Woonsocket, 54% of my families, their first language was Spanish. And I realized very quickly that the only person other than myself that spoke Spanish in that building was a lunch lady. And that was something that was, insane to me. So again, that's something that Central Falls is already way ahead of. But I do bring that perspective as that child and that family member that went through that. And then as an administrator, how I've changed those systems to make sure that we are welcoming of those families and of those students.
Can you just repeat the question? I'm sorry.
What unique perspective do you bring as an educator for our board members?
So I think that the unique perspective that I would bring is that I was inside of the classroom in this community for over a decade. I also maintain very close relationships with a lot of students that still, come over for dinner, come over with their families now. And they were students that were kind of written off. That they were the students that maybe had closer problems or weren't really going someplace, and to have the conversations with them now about high school and where were the failures in high school, and to get that perspective. So that is a unique perspective I would bring. Students that now are asking, Miss, can you help me fill out FAFSA because I want to go to MTTI, and they don't have people in their family that help them. So it's all of these things that makes you think of the bigger picture. We failed them while they were in school. If they now wish that it took them long to graduate. Some of them had to go back for a GED. Some of them had to stay and do the summer graduation or do PM school. But it's to get where they to get where they are now, but myself, and I probably could speak to 90% of my colleagues at the high school, could point out kids and say, we knew that they had the potential, but the systems weren't in place. So I think I can bring that unique perspective of actually knowing the student body that I would be serving. It is evolving, but I definitely think that I can bring that in a knowledge that the educators that are inside these buildings do know their students. They do take the time and to really understand what their lives are like and how can we best support. So I do think I bring that perspective and I can open the eyes of people that may not know how deep-rooted the relationships are, and a lot of the time, the educators, along with the students, have all the solutions to many problems if we just gave them the chance to let their voices be heard and bring them to the table and let them help figure it out, because I guarantee that they probably could figure out a lot of it.
Thank you. Any other question?
I have it sounds funny, but I have the chicken nugget question. If you have 10 students, and one of the students, just one of the students say, I want a chicken nugget every day, what do you say to the student?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think initially my first thought, and I think of this every day, is a quote from MLK Jr. is that life's most pertinent and important question is what are we doing for others? And so it wouldn't be so much about the chicken nugget as much as it would be about figuring out what the not the surface level, but the deeper level is of what's going on with the child and how to be able to best support the child in the long term. The chicken nugget may be the start to maybe it may be the gateway, it may be the beginning to getting to a deeper level towards what actually is going on in order to best support that student in the long run. So the chicken nugget to me is just a gateway, it's a door, depending on if you have the right sauce too, but I digress. But thank you.
Can you please repeat the question? I want to know if he wants the chicken nuggets every day for himself or for everyone.
It's a chicken nugget question. If you have 10 students, and one of the students asks him, can I get chicken, you serve a chicken nugget, for example, twice a week, or one of the students say, I want chicken nugget every day. What do you say to this?
Thank you. So in this case, if it's, including the other 10 students, then obviously it wouldn't be fair to serve chicken nuggets every day just because one student wants it. So it would be really about teaching that student that, a little bit like what you said, Jeff, it's about other people as well. So inclusivity, right? So yes, there will be times when there will be chicken nuggets and, he will have his first choice and be happy. Also, we can look into what are the other students' favorite foods and what they want. And sometimes they will need to have their favorite too. So it's really about inclusion.
So I think I've interpreted this question all wrong, because I look at the chicken nugget as that student's sense of comfort and that student's fear to try something else, to experience something else as a way that they don't think that they will be successful in it. And I think it's our job to make sure that every student wants to try something other than a chicken nugget and know that it's okay if they don't like it, or if, or the greatest thing is they end up loving something else and you have the ability to show them that there is, that it's okay to take risks. It's also okay to fail, but it's okay to take those risks and try something that you're not used to.
Last one, you said yes or no?
Do I say yes or no to the sauce or to the? I think the first time I would say yes. First time I would.
Yes or no?
If the question was for every day, no.
Depends on how long I've known the student.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I just have a kind of a question scenario there. We talked about let voices be heard. How do we do that? Do we have any success stories of how that may have been accomplished? And really, how do you develop trust? If if you can't come through with something, do they lose hope? Or have you had any stories that you can think that are like really good stories that would work somewhere else as well?
No.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Actually, it wasn't a wait, but it's okay. I would say that there's one story, and I'm thinking of it. It's a lot of things I can think of, but particularly at best. I remember there was a day where there was a dad that came in, and it was pretty hot. I would say there are definitely some words that he was using, and I know some folks were a little uncomfortable, but I just pulled I was just like, hey, why don't you let's come over here, let's come to my office, let's have a conversation about this thing. And initially he looked at me, he was just like, what the, you're gonna sit here and tell me, like, you're not older than me, you don't know anything, what is going on over here? And I brought him into the office, and I just let him speak, I just let him talk. And, and a lot of what he was getting off his chest was just, he just really had a lot that he was carrying for a long time. But when we got to the root of what it was, there's oftentimes you find out what the root is, or what the real problem is when you take the time to listen. And listening to that listening to what he was saying, he had a high level of anxiety over the fact that here's his child, and his child wasn't, she was getting a lot of reports about his child not behaving in school. And he was worried that his child would end up, would end up going on the path that he went down. And listening to that comment, and listening to that piece, I just looked in his eyes and said, said, number one, I said, I'm probably older than you. Which I was. I'll be 45 in a couple weeks. I don't look it, but it's all right. But two, one of the things I said to him is I said, you're the expert on your child, right? You're the first expert on your child. I can give you what I think. That's an opinion, right? That's from a professional point of view. But you're the expert on your child, and you care about your child, right? Like let's figure out how we can take incorporate things that you do at home to be able to incorporate it in the school to ensure that your child you're not getting the reports about how your child is doing behaviorally, but you're also actually hearing about how your child is performing academically, because the child had a lot of potential. And when I said that, parents' eyes lit up, and they were just like, wow, you really think my child has potential? It's like, absolutely, your child has potential, he does. And as I was talking through it some more, I come to find out that parent didn't graduate high school. Right, they ended up going through getting their GED, and so there also was this level of uncomfortableness that they felt about even going into the school because of their own past experiences. And so the success in that case was that this parent ended up actually helping out with some information to know about how he can move forward to pursue more educational opportunities to grow himself, but then also began to see a change in his child. When he walked into the school, his chest was up a little bit more, and when he walked into the space, he started to feel that he was valued. And that same parent that came in a little hot before, he was able to come back in, and he was able to say, hey, Mr. Wright, what's going on? And I was able to say, hey, what's going on with you? How are you doing today? And so that to me, that's a big success, because how many times, I can think of countless times where folks come into a space, and emotionally, they're up here, right? But being comfortable, or being able to say, you know what, in that uncomfortable moment, to be able to say, you know what, let me just sit here and listen and go through this uncomfortableness, that can make all the difference in the world. So thank you.
I also believe that it's about listening, but I also think we need to take it a step further and get into the community. Like Jeff said, and we've said already, many of our families and even our teachers have some trauma with the school system. So they're not always going to come knocking on our door. Even if you look at this meeting, for example, it can be a little bit intimidating for some people to come speak in public comment. But if we go out there into the community, be it, into the kids' sports games and performances and things like that, which as an administrator, I love to do because it gives me another perspective into that child and those families, then they're more likely to speak to us, and then we can truly listen.
Listening is important, but just to kind of go off of something that she just said, I do feel like educators have never felt that not that they don't want to or they don't feel comfortable, it's never been a position where they could come to the table or they could come to a meeting or they could speak to a school board member. Our board of trustees for so long were these people that you only saw once a month at a board meeting. You never saw within the district. So to have a board like this, I think that you will see such maybe it's too much sometimes, but such interaction between the members of the school district, the school community, the city in general, with the board. But you talked about, if we could go back to your original question, I think it was about success.
Yeah, is there something that you just think of that may work here that works?
I do. So, in the school year 2020-2021, where we were right out of lockdown, we, at the high school, not all the schools in Central Falls, but at the high school, we were 100% virtual. Up until, I believe, March of 21. So from September 2020 through March 2021, we were completely virtual. And people laugh at me all the time because I say that was my best year teaching. And it was a time where, as an English teacher, the district provided none of the teachers any resources. So the teachers throughout the district, really, but I know the middle and high school, they didn't really get anything. It was all from the teacher to create these distance learning lessons, platforms for students. And we were reading a book in my English class, and it was called We Are Not From Here, and parents that were home started listening in with their kids. And we ended up being able to, at the time, the MLL director was able to purchase the books in Spanish. So the parents that wanted them in Spanish, they were sent home so they could participate in this. And it really became, we actually had the author that did a Zoom call with all of the ninth graders. It was just, and the parents were on. It was a really incredible experience. And that was just one of the many that were going on. And through that, you could see that families did want to be engaged in their child's learning. And distance learning and the lockdown kind of gave them that opportunity, but we didn't really have a schedule that would work for all families and all students. And it went back to a previous applicant said about getting families involved and having families be part of their child's education and what are kids going through. And I used to say, why can't we have a day and night schedule for these kids? Some of these kids are working all day to help their families. I'm sure that there are so many teachers that would say, okay, I will do the evening shift, if you want to call it, and the day shift so that you could, we talk about attendance, and we talk about attendance matters, but those are real issues that face our kids, and it was kind of like at a time where the pandemic, there was so much going on, but it could have truly been a time of such growth. And I believe that Central Falls, because of the passion of the educators in the schools, could have led with distance learning and created a model that the state would have looked at. And I think we miss a lot of those opportunities within this district to not just, everyone wants to always look at the negative because we do not ever raise the amazing things that are happening and really build those models to say, look at what we're doing, and this is working, and this is culturally responsive. We know our families, we know our students, we know our community, and this is what works, and we're seeing success, and we're getting everybody involved in it.
Thank you.
I have a few questions.
Control
Yeah, but everybody can choose to ask questions. So we've talked a lot about collaboration, listening, but there's also accountability, right?
And so I would like to know, all of you have worked really closely with students and staff across all of your different roles. How do you approach holding people accountable while still fostering trust?
I'll jump into that one. Absolutely. Accountability is one of my favorite topics. If you look at my current school where I lead, Western Mundo, I've been able to thankfully bring our school from a 2-star to a 3-star consistently for the last 2 years. And that is due to accountability. Like I mentioned earlier, it's about holding our students and our staff and everybody to high expectations because they can do it. If we have faith in our students and in our teachers and on the board, and everybody, really they rise to it. And when they don't, unfortunately, sometimes some people do need to leave. If you read the book, like something hop on the bus or like get off the bus, if you're not with it, then you also, that is part of accountability. So you do need to be able to have those difficult conversations and make those difficult decisions with confidence once you have the necessary data to hold everybody accountable.
Yes, and so with accountability, really I just look at it as just consistent, just being consistent, right? Like if I'm holding you accountable, right, I'm expecting you to be consistent. I'm not hiding anything from you. I'm gonna come to you directly. I'll have a conversation. I communicate respect and promote dignity, right? Like if what I'm looking for from you, I'm carrying myself the same way, and I will say to you, and I've said to families, and I've said to my boss, I've said to my staff, if I'm not doing something, if I'm not holding myself, I'm not doing what needs to be done, tell me. Right, like I think that in this role, especially in this role when you're potentially serving in a larger setting, you have to be willing to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so when you step in and you're holding someone accountable, right, like the generic said, like you gotta make that decision with confidence. You also need to be able to receive that feedback. And sometimes that feedback is not going to be perfect, right? So you have to be able to take that feedback, own it, and continue to build those steps on it. But accountability is a two-way street.
Yes, to everything that they both said, but also I think part of accountability is being able to say where you messed up and not being afraid to say, because everyone's going to make mistakes, whether you are the superintendent, whether you are principal, teacher, student, custodian, everyone is going to mess up, and everyone, and the accountability for me is, yes, I messed up, but this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And being able, or asking for help. Because sometimes when you're at those top level positions, maybe asking for help seems like, you're not qualified, you can't do your job, or you don't want to do that, but it is asking for help. And being able to change and fix the mistakes and moving forward. And if you can go from there, I think you've held somebody accountable. If they don't want to own up to a mistake or a failure and keep doing, then they're not being accountable for what they're doing. But I don't think it's, it has to be, I think, really big is being able to own up to where things are not working and when mistakes are made and how can we fix it.
Thank you. You all have shared a story about engaging families. Jordana, you mentioned students on Zoom with families. Danielle, we didn't get to work together. I think I started shortly after you left in the district, but I heard a story about 100% family engagement. You went to someone's house and had a parent-teacher conference meeting right in their living room. Jeff, we also worked together, and you shared the story about this parent, right? So that was all in your role as educators. So how would you bring that same level of engagement to your role on this board?
Thank you. Yes, that is a true story. And as an administrator, we do that now with Class Dojo. We also are very proud to always have either 99, depending on enrollment, any given week, up to 100 engagement with families because it is important. And like I mentioned before, in this role of the board, it would be really getting out to the community. That's how they're really going to see you as real people because, again, they're not always going to come to us. So in order for us to be able to hear them, we need to go to them.
Yeah, piggyback on that. I think that's the biggest piece is being visible. I'd say in my role as an administrator, I'm continuously communicating with families on finding a way, right? Sometimes, sometimes it's later at night and I'm on the phone and I'm calling you or FaceTime or I'll go meet you somewhere. It really is just being visible, but again, just being consistent too, right? I'm not going to reach out to you just because something's wrong, right? I'm going to reach out to you to let you know that things are going well. I'm going to reach out to you because I want your feedback. Having the opportunity to also serve on a board at CCRI, that's one of the things I do, right? I go into classes, and I'll ask current students what's going on, what is working well, what's not working well. Speak with current professors, what's working, what's not working, and bring that feedback back to back to that board space because again we need to make informed decisions. In order to make informed decisions that are impacting the people, especially in the classroom, well, then we need to hear from the people that are actually in that space consistently. Thank you.
And piggybacking off of everything that they said, I also think making the board accessible and making it establishing, your role in establishing the role of the board as something that families, community members, teachers, students don't view, like I said, as that once a month meeting where they can just provide public comment and never really get any feedback or any sort of resolution to what they're feeling. I don't know how that would look. I know that there is also a lot for me to learn about this process and being a board member, but a way that it is accessible, that people know that they can reach out to a board member, that they can, families, students, teachers, anybody that is in the community can reach out and they know that there is an open line of communication.
Thank you. My last question is, there's two of you, I believe. Donna, I don't know what you're doing, but there's a couple of you that are working in Providence now, and Providence is currently under state takeover as well, but also trying to get local control back. Are there any lessons learned from this Providence experience? And it's not a secret, so even if you're not currently there, like anything that you have sort of seen from the process that we can learn from?
Actually, I think the one thing that I've experienced in this process that's been phenomenal are the listening sessions. I will tell you that has been absolutely phenomenal in how it was been facilitated, and it has really been all about getting feedback from the community where Dorman didn't really say much. It's facilitate and listen and gather so much information. And you had various stakeholders, and it was one of the few times that I can consistently have the feedback has been like, wow, this was a great experience. Wow, I feel like I was heard. Wow, this is great. I'm looking forward to what comes next.
I'll be honest, I haven't personally dealt with it, being that Nostra Movement is an independent charter school, so it's not part of PPSD, but I would have to agree, just based on what I've heard, it is the fact that the community is starting to feel heard and like they are being part of that process now.
Well, I can speak to being part of transformation at the high school when I was there, but also one of the 90-something teachers that was fired in 2009. It was my second year there, so I got fired right away. But I can speak to after transformation, and sometimes when I read the news and I look at what's happening in Providence, I sometimes laugh because it is a mirror image of a lot of the things that were put into place when we were under transformation. Some of the things worked, some of them didn't, but once the transformation money ran out, those things kind of went away. So was it a social experiment? Like what was it? Was it truly to better the schools? Because if it was, then why are those things still not in place? So speaking from being a city like Central Falls and being under state control for so long, we kind of had many social experiments within the district, and not all of them were bad, and some really worked. And it would, I think for me, it's the follow-up of this really worked. I don't care if the money's gonna run out, like we have to figure out a way because this really is working and the students are benefiting from it. So we need to figure out how to make this last. And you can have all of the meetings and you can have, you know, the engagement and teachers and students and families telling you, oh, this was great, this was great. Well, guess what, it's gone. Thank you for sharing that with us, but it's no longer. So figuring out how to get, well, if everybody is saying, if we have all, like 90% of stakeholders are saying that this really worked, how do we keep it? What do we have to do to make it stay? Make it last? And I think that that is our responsibility.
All right, we are sending question? Perfect, thank you. All right, thank you for your time. And now I need the motion for nominating one of the candidate.
I make a motion to approve,
All right, Councilmember Guerrero made the motion, who second the motion? Anyone second?
I'll second the motion,
Councilmember Kasarian second. All right, roll call.
Councilperson Baena?
Yes.
Councilperson Kazarian?
Yes.
Councilperson Figueroa?
yes.
Councilperson Rivas Lugo?
Yes.
Councilperson Rosado Martinez?
Yes.
And Councilperson Solano?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0 for Ms. Jordana Ruggiero.
Congratulations.
Next item on the agenda, under E, is consideration of appointing by Mayor Revere of Nellie Hawkins Vargas, 19 Clark Street, Clark Center, as the Human Resource Director.
Council members can go ahead all the time. Usually I do some biographical details, but I'll leave that to Nellie. But just to simply say, on behalf of the Mayor Rivera, a little clerical notes. This is still a part-time position, but it's no longer in the same shared service setup that we have with Providence. But it's sort of the same budgeted stipend amount that's already included in our budget. But I really believe that Nellie can introduce herself and her strong qualifications for this role.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members, and residents of Central Falls. It is both an honor and a privilege. My name is Nellie Hawkins Vargas, as I was presented, and I'm very privileged to express my interest in serving as a Human Resource Director to the City of Central Falls. I'm a proud resident since 2003, and which compels me to pursue this opportunity, this role, with a deep commitment to service and a strong belief that effective human resource leadership is essential to building trust, equity, and excellence within any organization, especially within municipal government. Ensuring compliance, operational efficiency, and in fostering a workplace culture of building on respect, accountability, and service. I bring 2 decades of experience in administration, human resources, finance, and operations. And I have developed the skills and perspective necessary to support strategic decision-making, strengthen organizational systems, and uphold fair employment practices. My goal is to bring that discipline and commitment to the city. Advancing clear policies, modernizing HR processes, and promoting work environment where the employee feels valued, supported, and empowered to deliver their best. Ultimately, I'm drawn to this opportunity because I see Central Falls as a community where purpose and progress meet. I would be honored to contribute to that vision by ensuring that our city's workforce remains its greatest asset, reflecting that the same integrity, inclusivity, and dedication that makes Central Falls so unique. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Howland. I want to say, I feel your resume. I know you from the city. I know you want to do the best for the city of the force, for your passion for the community. I want to say thank you for the action and join to the Mayor Rivera and this administration team. Good luck. Any other question or comment from my colleagues?
I know that you have a question. Sure. Impressive resume, and we see you all over the city, so I love how committed you are. Thank you. You have a lot of experience in higher education, so how would you translate that experience into municipal government, and particularly around recruiting and retaining a local and diverse workforce?
Sure. Although I bring that strategic leadership within the higher education, I actually was in charge of hiring and onboarding and handling all the relations as far as policies, procedures within higher ed. And that allows me to translate all these skills and soft skills. And as you can see, over 24 years, I've been in different roles. And that really translates to the ability that I have to promote myself. And when it comes to labor relations and union negotiations, I also was part of that within the higher end. So that's what I bring to this role.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question or comment? All right, so we've been with the question and the comment. I need the motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve Nelly Houghton Vargas to the position of the Central Falls Director of Human Resource.
Okay, motion by Councilwoman Rosado Martinez and second by Councilman Figueroa. With this, roll call.
Councilperson Baena?
Yes.
Councilperson Kazarian?
Yes.
Councilperson Pinheiro?
Yes.
Councilperson Rivas Lugo?
Yes.
Councilperson Rosado Martinez?
Yes.
Councilperson Solano?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Perfect. Congratulations.
The next item on the agenda under F is Department Financial Report for September 2025. I'll make a correction on that. Should be October 2025. City Clerk's Office, Department of Public Works and Code Enforcement, Fire Department, Police Department, and Finance.
Are you ready to do the report?
Yes.
You have any question? I need the motion to approve.
I actually have a question on the ARPA spending.
Give me a page number.
Yes, page 32 of the first scan.
Okay.
So we had seen, or we had posted a part-time position for human services assistant maybe. And I believe it was to come from ARPA funds.
Not ARPA, it was separate COVID fund, so we
Okay.
reflected on there.
Got it, okay. Do you know if we would get something where that is reflected?
I can talk with Mary. I don't think, that was old money from 2021. There's very little left over, so I'm not sure where it's reflected on our grants report.
Okay.
But I can check in with her on that. Yeah, happy to.
Any other question? All right, David, I need the motion to approve.
Councilperson, just have to say that no motion.
Okay, perfect.
Next item on the agenda under new business. Item A, presentation by Derek Calamati, City of Central Falls Fund Developer, Recreation Development and Acquisition Grant Program 2025. Mr. Calamati is not here, but Jim Vandermillen, the planning director, will speak on behalf.
Okay. I also have the memo here.
Good evening, members of the council. I know that the agenda says presentation. I will give the 30-second version of that. We'll be available to answer any questions that you might have, and then to respectfully request your support for and approval to submit the applications.
We are proposing to submit 2 applications in the current round of outdoor recreation grants offered by Rhode Island DEM, both of them for Jenks Park. There's a large grant, we're seeking $500,000 to help us complete the amphitheater phase of the Jenks Park master plan. The small grant request would be to begin work and complete work on the umbrella structure that is closest to Broad Street. We've used these grants for several projects throughout the city. We've been very successful. We use the funds. We use funds to complete the first phase of the work at Jenks Park, the playground. We have some money from DEM for the amphitheater phase already, but it is a large project. It requires multiple funding sources in order to complete the work. And so our proposal is to submit a request for a large grant for that phase 1. Is there any questions? Happy to answer.
Any question?
The matching funds, Jim?
Yeah, so there's I think the way it's worded says this
It's like community.
provides matching funds. It actually, there's a matching fund requirement. What this allows us to do is I'd say more than plug the hole, because it's a significant amount of money. There is a matching fund requirement. We have community development block grant funds. We were recently awarded $500,000 for this project. We have some funds remaining from an earlier CDBG award, so we have sufficient funds to be able to provide the required match for both of these.
Thank you. With what you say, everything is very clear. Any other question? Thank you, Dean.
So the action, although it's not clear on the agenda, is actually to get the council to approve submitting the applications to DEM.
I'll make a motion to.
Okay, made the motion by Councilwoman Baena, second by Councilman Figueroa. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean.
Next item on the agenda, under item B, new business, the city council sitting as board of license commissioners, advertising hearing and consideration of 2025-2026 liquor license renewals.
Need a motion collectively.
I make the motion to approve.
Made the motion by Councilman Casaria and second by Councilman Figueroa. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda, new business, under 2 is consideration of 2025-2026 business renewals.
Without objection for any reason from the police or the administration, I'd like my motion to accept them all collectively.
Who made the motion? You made the motion?
I made the.
Oh, Councilwoman Baena made the motion and Councilwoman.
Solano did it.
Councilman Solano seconded the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Under new business, item 3 is consideration of tax abatement submitted by the tax assessor. We have Piper Daniel R. and Piper Natalia, 2025. Tax year, 80 November.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a appeal that was granted by the Board of Appeals. And so we're just looking to get the reduction in.
All right. Any more questions? No. Any question? Any comment about it? Okay. I need a motion to approve. Take it up. Made the motion. Second. Solano second. All in favor say aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, under 4 is Narragansett Electric and Verizon New England Inc. They're looking to relocate pole 8 across the driveway at 88 and 86 Chestnut Street.
Well, Director Riera could not be here this evening. I had him review each of these applications, and he's confident and comfortable in all three.
Thank you.
And I'll just add, Mr. President Pro Tem, that as we started to get more of these because of the construction happening in the city, you do, as a council, the reason they have to petition you is if you talk to a property owner, or a butter, or a neighbor, or a business owner, and they're uncomfortable with the location or any aspect of it, you have the ability to ask for a change. So don't think it's just a straight up or down vote, but just wanted to clarify that, because we had several years where we didn't get anything, so I just wanted to, for the new members, let you know that you have discretion as to what Brown Energy wants to do with these polls.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And at what point do they decide to change them? Like, you mentioned construction, but what's happening on Chestnut that it needs to be moved for you?
They have long-term infrastructure plans that involve storm planning, so lines that are shorter than trees that have consistently had issues with power outages. Like up here at the old Broad Street School, having to install a new pole for electricity because of the amount of electricity we use. So it's a combination of long-term planning and kind of short-term need due to construction.
Thank you.
All right. That's it. Okay, need a motion to approve?
Council President, can we be motion to approve collectively or?
Collectively, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve collectively, Council President.
Made the motion by Councilman Casaria and second by Councilman Figueroa. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda is item A, hearing and consideration of an agreement between the City of Central Falls and Rhode Island Energy Narragansett Electric to construct, reconstruct, repair, replace, add to, maintain, operate an underground distribution of electric current at 702 Broad Street, North Central, Central Falls.
All right. Okay. You made it.
We do have.
Any question, any comment?
Mr. Vandermillen here.
For Mr.
Answer any questions for you.
You don't have any question or comment? We need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Councilman Solano made the motion.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Rosa Martinez second. With that, all in favor say aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda is petition to the Central Falls City Council by Mr. Julian Mauricio Segura, doing business as La Cantina, 664 Dexter Street, requesting extended hours until 3 a.m. on December 31st, 2025 for New Year's celebration.
Thank you, Mr. Segura.
Hi, good evening. I'm requesting to increase the time in December 31st. The last year I requested the same. Everything was okay. The security guard, the plan, I think you have the plan, the security plan. I have the security guard is a company, a professional company that is going to protect the customer and my employee. I think it's a good time because it's a community, a Latin community. So I request the opportunity to increase this time in this day to celebrate the New Year.
All right. I see the plan, I read it, I see it's very, all together is there, or the question is there. Just I want to check, see the police department or fire department, they want to add something in this plan or any suggestion about it. Or about the regular, the business, any concern you have.
Good evening, Council.
Thank you.
The police department has reviewed the security plan put forward by La Cantina. A couple of little questions we do have for them, but I will say based on our meeting that we had last month, some of this came up and we discussed different protocols and different concerns. The police department's concern still rises in capacity to be able to provide public safety on extended hours on New Year's Eve. I will say that La Cantina has been a great business partner. These security protocols were in place last year, and they've been kind of the model going forward as to what establishments should do to ensure proper security. The police department's concern is if multiple establishments are granted extended hours, it increases the likelihood that we are unable to adequately provide safety throughout the city. Just staffing wise, this isn't the city of Providence. We don't have 20 police cars on duty at a time. And if all bars are getting out on extended hours with outside people coming in, that creates a logistical problem for the police department to be able to provide that safety. And obviously the bars itself would not be the only focus. So New Year's Eve is a very busy night, regardless of what day of the week for us. And we have other calls for service to attend to besides just the bars. I did check into some data based on the last council meeting, and we talked briefly about the permits that were granted. La Cantina, I can confirm, had no calls for service that night. We had one to an area check. That was before midnight. There were no calls for service attributed to their permit last year. I did further check into I know there was a second permit granted last year. That never came to fruition because they couldn't get a security plan in place. And I believe that was one of the contingencies to have the adequate security. Mainly because detail losses on that type of a holiday overnight, it's expensive for the establishments, and it also puts a huge strain on our personnel. So specific to this, I don't have true concerns with them. I'm more concerned about the total capacity and what strain that put on public safety. I do just have two clarification points, and I spoke to Deputy Chief Petrin earlier today. It just kind of changes the makeup of where we're thinking on this. And one is on page 3 of the security plan, there is ensure all patrons leave the premises by 1 a.m. I believe that's a typo. I'm just looking for clarification on what time they would be leaving the premises. And the other question was the outside patio area, is that being utilized for this extended hours? And if so, is it propane heating, et cetera, involved in that?
Okay, thank you.
I know what's the concern of the police officer. I'm thinking about one, I can't pay for a detail, a police detail from 11 to 3. It's gonna be 4 hours. I don't have any problem to pay for that. In concern about the parking lot, I can close the parking lot and I can put some security guard to try to control everything.
So are you planning to use the outside?
No, only to close back because many people outside and start working on parking control. Yes, only parking. Yes, because it's gonna be very hot in this time.
And to the question around 1 a.m., you meant 3 a.m., right?
Yes.
I think for fairness purposes, even though I know we heard that there's no concern specifically to La Cantina, we did table the vote for Cosmopolitan until next month, and I know they're two separate cases, but I think for fairness purposes, we should potentially postpone this vote until December as well, just to consider both of them at the same time. It would be unfair to consider a vote potentially could be yes. I'm not sure what my colleagues are thinking. I'm sort of spitballing here, but say if it was yes, that would be unfair to the other business who came before us last month. And so I would propose a motion to table this vote on this specific thing until next month where both businesses.
No, I have something to say first, Councilwoman. Thank you for your recommendation, but how the police officer recommended to us now and then recommended to us in the last meeting for the Cosmopolitan say we do different situation about the concern that they have about the business. As you mentioned, the Cosmopolitan business have several concerns any issue with their business. How they mentioned now about the cantina, they follow all the rules and all the protocol all the time. And he working in the old security plan. I already mentioned this in record, Mr. Kirk. Just Cosmopolitan and La Cantina is just the two businesses in the city can apply for extended hours, right? Until today.
As of today, yes.
Yes, right? Until this in record, just two businesses in the city apply for extended hours. I think my suggestion, maybe police department maybe can check with Mr. Segura about the police detail. I know we don't have too many officers in the city. You know, for the December 31st, we have that busy day. But I think so. In December, we Cosmopolitan come back to see us, and police department they bring to us back a final report about everything happened with the business from the day they present to us until December, on the meeting in December. I think Mr. Segura present all the security plan. I think with the recommendation for the police department, we always we look the best for the city, the safety, and all city residents feel comfortable and live in peace. For me, my countrymen and city residents of the city, for me that's the more important things. I think with the recommendation for the police department and the all work and the protocol that Mr. Segura do it about his business, and of course the all business in the city do, just we have two business apply for this, maybe we can consider a vote for that one today, and of course with all document and all the papers next month for the other business, we can evaluate the extended hour for them. Do any other colleague have something to say?
I don't think that, in my opinion, from listening to the testimony, the report, is that they're saying that they may not have enough coverage for the police department, so I don't know why we'd want to burden them by approving a license that's open later. So I don't think we should approve any license to be open later, because they do come to us and they explain the difficulties in trying to staff. And you're jeopardizing public safety, in my opinion. I was a business owner at one time. I had a nightclub. I've gone through this, but when you have the reports that they're telling you they don't have a big staff and it's going to take more people to be there, you don't know what's going to happen. You're just rolling the dice. I think the safety of the city and the residents come first.
I know, I respect that opinion, Mr. Kasarian, but I say just to business apply for that. If you have over 60 businesses, just to apply for that. And depending on the follow the rules and the protocol that the business owner follow, that's good, because when one business owner follow the protocol.
No, I understand what you're saying, but that's just my opinion on the matter.
They do are applying for the same thing, but there's two different situations. So what Cosmopolitan is going through is not the same thing that he's going through, and it's not the same thing that the police is reporting to us in case of, of the safety of our city. Again, he has said that he should pay another person, another police officer, if he needs to. But I don't think we can put the burden on him, because we're having another issue with the other establishment. So it's two different things and two different issues.
I guess for clarification, it wasn't to punish. La Cantina had all my comment about tabling the vote was not to say he hasn't met the requirement or we're punishing him because of what's going on at Cosmopolitan. It was more of a fairness situation, and the way I'm seeing it, in my opinion, to clarify my comment, was around a fairness situation to make the decision at the same time, but not necessarily saying we're punishing him.
No, I'm not saying that you're punishing.
No, that's what you said imposing.
Yeah, we want to say a different situation, correct? And we always follow the.
And I get what you said. To have them both in the same day, so they know what one is doing it and the other one is doing it. They don't have to do. But again, it's two different situations. We give them time. To get
To
the
do better.
other establishment to do better. And that's what we're waiting for the police to report to us. So it's two different things.
Yeah, based off
Again,
of
my
what
opinion.
Councilman Kazarian had mentioned previously, and we compared the situations between the Cosmopolitan and La Cantina. We have previous data that the police have gotten for us that they only had gone by the establishment that was prior to 12, correct? And that wasn't based off, that was just and that check, that was just a regular check, that wasn't.
Correct, that was just a regular check, kind of get the scale of what was going on. And those notes, it was 10:41 PM, we responded there. Not a call for service, it was a self-initiated check, small crowd at the time. Obviously, I'm very sure the crowd grew larger after 11 PM, but there was no issues whatsoever that we responded to that night. Also, if I could just give a clarification on the detail. If the La Cantina requests a detail, the position of the police department is we do our best to try to fill it. We have a concern if it's a mandated requirement, because then that will likely cause us to have to mandate additional personnel in just to cover the bar, which could also have a trickle-down detrimental effect to the personnel that we have available to be on the streets. It is a holiday, and in accordance with collective bargaining agreements, we do have personnel that are on, accrued time leave. So we have to backfill those shifts as well. And our concern is, like I said, capacity. When we get into details, if it's a mandate that every bar that applies has to have details, that puts a tremendous burden on the personnel that we have, and also our ability to call in additional personnel if the situation arises.
Thank you.
I just want to follow up on Captain Tudis's comments. Historically, when we look at licensees and the issue of security, there's layers. So, as an initial matter, licensees are supposed to have competent, reasonable, industry-specific security plans. That's the baseline. If they have an incident or you have a greater expectation of security, then they may increase the amount of staff they have on their own security team. If another incident were to happen and you were to continue to escalate your supervision of them, you would require an outside vendor whose plan was authorized and reviewed and approved by the police department. Only those instances where the bar has proven themselves to be almost to the point of closure would you mandate a police detail. This is the highest form you as the liquor board could authorize for them. So what the captain is saying is you don't need to go straight to the last measure of police detail. There are levels under that that you could also require.
Thank you. You say something, Councilman?
Yeah, I mean, I understand. So far, I just clarify a little bit better. So right now, is it only two places?
Yeah, outline for this in the hour. Cosmopolitan, they went in October, and now La Cantina coming.
So that means not all the restaurant or bar, whatever they have a chance to request.
No, that's not to say that someone else won't come before us in December and ask.
They can start, they are gonna buy it on the different meetings.
So what about, come to the point, and maybe just rather than talking about 3 o'clock in the morning, by the time people get it, talking about 4 o'clock in the morning. So maybe at 2? What time are you closing now?
I think last year we approved till 2 AM as well. And it was those two businesses, La Cantina, La Taberna, obviously, as we heard from the police department, La Taberna didn't follow through because their safety plan wasn't approved or they weren't able to fulfill the requirements. So to answer your question, it's that, yeah, right now there's 2. That's not to say that in December someone else will come.
Yeah.
Because last year we had 3 applicants. I believe we said no to one of them.
Okay. Or any other question or comment? I think how the Councilman Peguero say, maybe we can change the time until 2 AM, just until 2 AM, not to 3, just until 2. After this say, in the record, I need a motion to approve.
We still have a motion on the floor to table.
we need to vote for that?
There was not a second. We did
No
not ask-
second.
We didn't ask for a second yet. We haven't asked for a second yet.
Anyone second the motion by Councilwoman Laina to tabling to next month? We need the motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second
Councilwoman Rosado.
Can I just
make a
actually
motion?
specifically enter into the record, I know there were some changes.
Yes, I put it for the record.
Okay.
No,
The
it's
specifics.
just up to 2 AM.
I just want to be clear for the clerk that what the motion is.
So
The time.
it's a motion to approve the liquor hours extension until 2 AM.
Yes. All right, is made the motion by Councilwoman Rosado Martinez, second by Councilman Solano. Now, roll call.
Councilperson Diana?
My vote is no because I did want to go until December, not because I don't think it should be open.
Councilperson Kazarian?
No.
Councilperson Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilperson Rivas?
Yes.
Councilperson Rosado Martinez?
Yes.
Councilperson Solano?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-2.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is Mr. Giovanni Carmona, who has 93 Property, 63 Haddon. He's requesting a 3-month extension to complete construction on his business.
No, welcome.
How much time are you looking for, sir?
3 months on the home stretch. I've been here several times. So the home stretch.
What's the total amount of time that it's taking?
How long?
There's been a few 3-month exceptions.
Yes,
Yeah.
When you have the state involved, the city, you know, when you do things right, you gotta do it right. So you gotta line up a lot of ducks. If Deputy Chief Passion knows, so I just recently received approval on the rough inspections to move forward, so we're at the home stretch. So I'm not trying to cut any corners.
You think you're on 3 months?
I think so.
You think so? Do believe you?
Coming back.
Everybody keep your fingers.
All right, thank you. Any other one question or comment? All right, see anyone have any question or comment? Any the motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve 3 months.
Made the motion by Councilwoman Rosado Martinez, second by Councilman Figueroa. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Next item on the agenda is schedule of bills, hearings, and consideration. Under A is ordinance relating to innocuous vegetation and poison ivy as public nuisance. Introduction, Councilperson Diana.
Perfect. Okay, any question? It's just a reading.
It's
Okay.
just introduction.
Yes. All right.
Next item on the agenda under B is ordinance amending Central Falls zoning ordinance, school R3 adopted 10/15/2025, sub A, introduction, Council President Perry by request. The next item on the agenda is ordinance amending zoning ordinance regarding parking requirements, first reading, Council President Perry by request.
Are we getting open? Nobody saying up? Or do we close?
Members of the council, as you know, this was introduced, the proposed ordinance to amend the ordinance to reintroduce parking requirements. It was introduced last month. As per state law, once the public hearing has been advertised, and this is the public hearing for this proposed ordinance change, any changes that have been presented as a result of feedback from others, as well as further review, or anything that would come up during public comment during this meeting. As we just learned, there are no additional comments. As long as those are presented during the meeting, they can still be considered without having to re-advertise. And what I would like to do is distribute and briefly go through some of the modifications since the October introduction. And for your reference, they are in color, so we can find them easily, and I will do my best to describe them pretty briefly. So everything that is underlined black text, that was simply an addition to the original ordinance. That's not a change. But if we flip to the second page, you'll see some text under 514.13b, which is for a special use permit for providing fewer than the minimum number of off-street parking spaces. There was an introduction of some language in blue, and I'll just read that briefly. So in addition to fewer spaces than those specified in parking schedules 801A and B may be provided for special use permit. In addition to the inclusion of affordable units in proximity to mass transit, which do not require special use permits, see notes 1 and 2 following tables 801A. Factors affecting the minimum number of parking spaces that will be considered include household characteristics, available off-street parking spaces, and other factors that can be shown to clearly reduce the need for off-street parking. Those changes were made just to be as clear as possible about what's required for special use permit. Similarly, for 514.13c for off-site parking, the addition of language here and that applications must include a site plan and or map illustrating the proposed route pedestrians will follow, provide access to and from the off-site lot, and a description of the traffic conditions in the area surrounding the proposed route. Again, this is clarification of what would need to be presented in order to request and have a special use permit approved. There was some extraneous language stricken there on the third page in red. Similarly, at the bottom of that page, shared driveways are not allowed for new construction in R zones. That should have been shown as a strike through in the original version. That shared driveways could be allowed if that is presented and follows the requirements of the ordinance. Pretty significant change that was, again, just a formatting issue under section 801 parking requirements. That first sentence should have been presented as a strike through. The originally read parking is not required. And the whole point of this ordinance is to present the requirements for off-street parking. As referred to earlier when I was describing special use permits, the notes under table 801A have been amended to specify, as shown in note 1 for affordable housing bonus, that a special use permit is not required, but applicants must provide evidence of the deed restrictions or a signed commitment to provide the number of deed restricted affordable units for which they are seeking reduction in parking. Essentially, what we're allowing for is a bonus, actually a reduction in the number of parking spaces required if affordable housing is a commitment on the part of the applicant. And this is just specifying what they need to provide in order to get that reduction. Similarly, for transit-oriented development bonus, an applicant can seek a reduction in the required amount of parking. This specifies that a special use permit is not required and spelled out what is required to be provided. And then, following feedback that we received actually from a council member, we've added a provision for parking structures because we've added parking maximums for many of the use types. And if in the event that a parking structure is provided as part of a proposed development, the maximum parking space requirements would not be applicable in that case. And then finally, the maximum parking for warehouse, wholesale, commercial, and industrial are shown in blue there. Those were erroneously missing that information in the previous version.